Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are here to crack the code to workplace wellness. That's right. Lisa Deveaux joins us here once again live today on the podcast and Zoomcast from Brown Skin Wellness. And by the way, that's also the website, brownskinwellness.com. Lisa, how are you doing today? Happy December.
Happy December. It's cold in New York City today.
Isn't
Did you step
it?
out?
It said
OMG.
drove my kids to the bus stop. It said 19 degrees on the little thing in the car, and I'm like, "What? Is this a joke?" And my boys are like, "There's snowflakes on the windows." I'm like, "Yeah, there was some snow yesterday. Did you see that? I don't know
I
if the
didn't I
city."
didn't see I didn't see any snow yesterday, but it's chilly. It's
Oh,
chilly. It's chilly.
well, we're gonna stay. But now I have the heat on, so like I'm sweating. And someone else just said to me, "Why are you in a tank top? Aren't you in New York?" I'm like, "But it's hot inside sometimes." So I can't
hmm
complain. I'm grateful to be alive. A little under the weather, but had a good Thanksgiving. How was yours?
It was good. Good
Perfect.
food, lots of good chatter and jokes and family fun. It was great.
Good. Take a little break from work. But now we're back in the thick of it with our Pilates master and so much more. Lisa, tell us about you and Brown Skin Wellness for new timers out there to start.
Well, I am a certified Pilates instructor. Brown Skin Wellness is an organization that provides wellness programming, Pilates, yoga, meditation, sound bowl healing, depending on whatever the requirements are. And we are based out in Brooklyn. We can be reached at 718-772-9101. You can email us at hello@brownskinwellness.com. Yeah, you already mentioned all the social media and the website. So,
Yeah. And today we are cracking that code to the workplace wellness. So
workplace wellness.
let's get to it and talk about some of these methods that can, really help evaluate workplace wellness in a sense, right? Because some people might feel awkward talking about it, but you mentioned something good. There should be like those anonymous questionnaires. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, for sure. So, in my former life, right, or in my life still,
I
I
get
am
it.
a business analyst and a
I get it.
project manager, and I've worked for several organizations, especially in the financial services, being in New York. And one of the things you need to consider when you're inside a company or considering changing companies is the workplace culture.
Yeah.
And looking at and evaluating the culture, one of the ways we can evaluate culture is just through employee surveys, questionnaires, right? And those can be done anonymously. You can use digital tools,
Mm-hmm.
to do them. They can
Yep.
answer a series of questions, and then anonymously they can, respond and
Love
not
it.
feel like there's any backlash or anything like that because
Because
it's,
back in the day when we did this years ago, I'm not kidding, had to
yeah,
put a paper in the bin to talk about what we think would do better. People know each other's handwriting. So
yes.
it was like uncomfortable. Like you couldn't really write what you really wanted to write. But I love this whole, and how do you know that digital is like get the survey on your phone? How do you know it's confidential? I mean, it must be nowadays, right?
Yes,
Okay.
privacy. There's lots of laws in
Laws
terms of
and yep,
privacy and all of that kind of thing that, protects people. So,
good.
but I think the reason too it's important is because statistics say 81% of people actually want to quit their job,
Whoa, that's
right?
pretty
Which is
big.
pretty high.
That's
So if
huge.
that's a big number, right? So then maybe we need to rethink, well, if we're spending so much time, I mean, people spend all their time on these jobs in the office, right? And doing this day to day, but yet 80% of them want to quit. Like there's a
What's
disconnect
going
there.
on?
What's going
Exactly.
on?
Let's fix this.
So part of that is let's examine the culture. Let's see what's going on. Perhaps do a survey or perhaps consider a focus group, right? A focus group is another way to interview people, kind of go deeper, get more, into the insight of really what's happening, any underlying issues, any concerns, right? Those one-on-one interviews also allow people to kind of have some level of privacy and not really be impacted by group dynamics or in a group setting, like being influenced by others and their opinions and what they might think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way to, evaluate the culture, see what's going on. You can really get some good data by doing that, right?
Yeah. Like you mentioned, the focus groups and interviews, deeper dive, sitting together collaboratively. You also now may be together and a little bit more vocal because the person next to you stepped up and said something too. So there's something about being, anonymous, but then talking together in a group makes you feel heard, makes you feel respected, makes you feel understood. And
Yes,
I feel like that it's another great way to evaluate it, right? Tell me,
absolutely.
dive a little deeper into that if you don't mind.
Sure. So, we're sitting in a group setting, in a focus group. We're all in the room. We're having a healthy conversation, and, people express their opinions. You get to have input. You should be vocal in those
Yeah.
scenarios. You shouldn't really operate with any kind of fear or feel like you can't say anything, right?
True,
But those
yeah,
healthy
but
conversations are good because you get to
yeah,
understand what your colleagues think, you get to share what you think, and you get to interact with leadership, right? I remember one time I was invited to travel to Germany for a bank I worked for,
ooh,
and leadership asked a question. They said, how do you feel? We want to know what you think, right? And I was part of the organization that was the underdog. And
okay,
so I said, I kind of said, well, why should we trust you? You're taking us over. Like, why should we trust you?
yeah,
And because I wasn't afraid to say something, right? And the culture at the time was
God
open
bless.
to hear
Uh-huh,
what we had to say, he was
yeah.
like, well, let's have coffee. And I said, I don't drink coffee.
Oh my gosh.
So it was good. He was a C-level executive. He wanted to hear what we had to say. And from that, from that conversation, I got a lot of attention from it. But it was good. It was a good thing.
Yeah.
It was a very good thing. Yeah.
Ooh, getting outside of our comfort zone, but speaking up. All right, that's good. That's good. What else is on tap for cracking this code to workplace wellness, darling?
Oh, well, cracking this code, you can also do observational assessments. And that's
Okay.
one of the things I've done in my other role, right? Go into an organization, observe what's happening, what's going on with the culture, really seeing the power play, what's happening there, who's in control. So, are you managing up or are you managing down? Are you managing
Yeah.
sideways? What's happening, right? You get to see how people communicate, how they collaborate, any unspoken normal things that are happening, like Betty goes in every
Yeah.
morning and she makes the coffee and she makes it a certain way, don't mess with it. Those kinds of things, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
all of those contribute to the culture and how people feel, or even how we work, right? It says in my contract I work 9 to 5, but really I'm working from 6 to 6. I'm working 12-hour days, right? That's a part
True.
of the culture. And why does a person have to work 12-hour days to get the work done? Does something need to be evaluated there? Is the organization really being efficient? And how does
Mm.
that impact a person's mental health? But we'll get to that after my next point, which are
Ooh.
cultural audits, right? Those where you go in, you do a really comprehensive assessment, right? You look at all their policies, all their procedures, their practices, how they do what they do, right? And does that really
Yeah.
align with the organization's mission? Does it align with their corporate values? Are the
Mm-hmm.
values of the employees in alignment with the values of the organization, or is there a disconnect, right? And that speaks to how people feel about their jobs. How do they feel about themselves? How are they managing their personal lives? What
Yeah.
happens when they leave? And what's the impact? Why are these things important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? we need
Ooh.
to we need to think about that, right? We need to think about what's happening in these organizations and the fact that 81% of people want to quit their jobs. 85% of people are not even fully engaged in their jobs, right?
Yeah.
And 69% of folks would be more committed if they felt the company appreciated them.
Wow, it's as simple as that. I hear you. I feel you. I've been in this situation where I didn't feel valued, and that does help a lot. And instead of everyone talking on the side about it, I really wish back in the day, bosses, not this job, you would
Mm-hmm.
have came to me. It would have been so much better because we all felt this way, but everyone felt embarrassed to talk about it. It was this
Right.
culture of not talking in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it does matters. And you're going to get into that in just a sec. Brownskinwellness.com. Go ahead, Lisa.
brownskinwellness.com. Hello at brownskinwellness.com. Brownskin Wellness at Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I'm Lisa. You're
Love you. You're so good. You got this, girl. Yes.
Yeah, so how does this impact wellness programming? I think one of the things to consider around that is really now that we have all this information from all these different tools and methods, to assess the culture, is really being able to identify what resonates with employees in terms of wellness programming, right? And that's one of the things we like to do,
Mm-hmm.
Brown Skin Wellness, is go into an organization and help leadership figure out what kinds of programming resonate best with their employees, right? What would work best? And how do we tailor that program to get everybody on the same page in terms of the values? How much is required, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to do a yoga program that really has a meditation aspect
Mm-hmm.
incorporated in the beginning of it? Or, do we perhaps need to just have, you know, quiet time every day at the desk for 10 minutes where everybody's required to just to take a 10-minute break? Does that break in the middle of the day help? What are the things, what are the tools that we can bring to the table in terms of wellness programming to support your organization? And then also really encourage leadership to consider an evaluation on a periodic basis so that they have this system of continuous improvement, right? Which is a concept that's common in the project management space. Like you're continuously improving. So it's like evaluate, assess, implement, improve, and then repeat, right? So we go through that whole cycle of continuously improving the culture and the environment. And the win for the organization, it improves their reputation, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they get people who want to work for them, right? They become known, you know what, that's the place to work.
Yep.
A few years ago, Google was that place, right? Google was the place to work. People wanted to work
So
there
true.
because Google put things in place. They put programming in place to really support their employees,
Yeah.
and people felt valued, they felt appreciated, they wanted to be there, they wanted to show up.
Oh my goodness. And I love one thing in particular. Honestly, I mean, you tell me how it works in your wellness workplace, but I like to know there's a little coffee bar, a little snack bar, a little something, maybe once a week to treat us to a little something. That goes a long, long way.
That
Yeah.
is so, so true. Having a pantry with tea and coffee and water available makes a big difference. Some organizations will even once a week, they'll order lunch and you just go into the pantry and you get your lunch and everybody, it encourages people to come together, to connect, to communicate, outside of, oh, we got to get this report done. We got to get this presentation in
Yeah.
front of whoever, right? And all those meetings. So all of that contributes to wellness, right? How do
Yes.
I, get that opportunity to just take a break in the middle of the day and, oh, guess what? They're giving me coffee. I don't have to pay $6 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
I know, I love it, but they got to really think like, I don't know who's responsible in the company, but the designing these types of programs. I mean, even we could all pitch in as employees and say, hey, what would you like to do? I love when they do the happy hour used to be like the thing, right? But nowadays people
Right,
don't do happy hour, but they do little outings and like Top Golf, and they do work, what is it called? Like work fun. I can't think of the name of it. Like a community sport, like a
right.
kickball
Like
game.
bowling, right?
Yes.
Like bowling. Or I know a lot of times people will find, you also will find organizations that will do causes, right? They'll volunteer for a cause. Like they'll do the breast cancer walk. They'll, cycle for multiple sclerosis, that they bike ride around the city for multiple sclerosis, or they'll even do something like Habitat for Humanity. And a lot of organizations put those types of programs in place, one, because it gives people the opportunity to connect outside of work around a common
Yeah.
cause, and it shows values, right? It shows
Yeah.
where our values lie and how
Yep.
employees can connect to the causes that the
Then,
organizations care about and what the employees care about.
yep. Well, also, it's really fascinating because I think all of us can look back at our careers and our employers and see where we lacked. And I wish, we're given the chance to do this input. And nowadays, hopefully, employers are learning to do it anonymously, do it the digital way, and
Yeah.
to speak. It just makes things so much better. And like with you, with the Pilates and all, and there's so many companies that are having you all like come in, right, to train and do like
Yes.
classes. This is so cool.
Yes, yes. We've been working with different organizations and coming in
Hmm.
and doing different programs and really supporting them through that journey. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's popular now too, especially post COVID, because post COVID,
Yep.
everybody
Was.
even is still, even now, still very much like, where am I? Where's my mental health? Am I taking care of myself? After the quote unquote great resignation, right?
Yeah.
People recognize people need more than just that paycheck. They need more than just, the standard set of benefits. There needs to be programming in place to really support people to be healthy inside and outside the office, personally and professionally.
Beautifully said. All right. What else do you want people to know about, darling?
Well, I'm a certified Pilates instructor. We are hosting on January 19th in South Orange
Oh,
an event called Power from Within.
oh,
It will be uh, a combination of different modalities that we're going to
okay.
do to help women specifically focus on
Hmm.
their mental health and emotional resilience.
Awesome. Tell us more
Yeah.
about it. How does it
So,
work?
how does it work? We're going to have tiered pricing. So, if you don't have any money, you can't afford it, you're not working, it's free. All you got
Okay.
to do is register and show up.
Mm-hmm.
We have a support rate, which is 149. So if you want to subsidize the cost of the ticket or the cost of the program for another woman, you can pay 149. If you want to just pay for yourself, because that's all you got, it's $99 at the individual rate. And it'll be $49 at a discounted rate for someone that maybe can't afford the individual rate, but still wants to contribute. $49. So we got that tiered pricing structure in place so you can get in where you fit in. Just come. We're going to do it January 19th, um, so that we can really get some tools and techniques. We're going to breathe deep. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to support one another. We're going to journal. We're going to do all the things, have some gentle movement, and a few surprises as well.
Awesome. I love this. And for new
Yes.
timers out there, who don't know a little bit about your background. I do, of course, because I get to talk to her like every week. But just tell me what brought you in here, to do Pilates and to be so passionate about this field, and obviously bringing now, this wellness into the workplace. Would you mind just giving us a little taste of that?
Sure.
Thank you.
I came to Pilates by doing Pilates on a mat in my bedroom for 20 minutes every morning. I love the way it made my body feel. And while working in corporate spaces, I just started to feel
Yep.
unfulfilled in my work, unfulfilled
Hmm.
in my job, and felt like I needed to do more. And one day I went on a yoga retreat for a week and I came back and decided to get my Pilates certification. I
Yay.
got certified just as the pandemic was hitting, and I started teaching Pilates on the mat over Zoom. And that grew, and that grew, and that grew. And so here I am today, now designing wellness programs for nonprofit and for profit organizations. And I came to that simply because someone asked me, design a program for me. And my imposter syndrome, I didn't want to do it. and then
No,
finally,
no.
and then finally I said, okay, what do I need to do to make this happen? And here I am.
Beautiful. And could you share some of the stories of some of the companies that you've helped already? Could you give us some insight to that?
Sure, yes.
Thank you.
There's a nonprofit organization that needed some support with their employees as well as the clients that they serve. And so they asked us to come in to do a program we did called Choosing Me, Choosing Us.
Okay.
It
Hmm.
incorporates yoga, Pilates, and meditation. So we start out with Pilates movements, some gentle Pilates movements, because a lot of people are fresh movers. So we start
Yeah,
out with some gentle Pilates
very
movements.
true.
We then transition that right seamlessly into yoga, and then we do yoga. So we do Pilates for 20 minutes, yoga for
Okay.
20 minutes, and then we end with a meditation around when was the last time you really took the time or the opportunity to take care of yourself, to choose yourself. And it was a really powerful program. We facilitated it over Zoom. We got really great feedback on that. Um, the other program we did was for a fintech company that's based out in London, but they have an office here in New York City. We did
Okay.
a rooftop meditation event for them, and it was really an introduction to meditation. And so at lunchtime, the employees came up on the rooftop. We laid out all the mats and we gave them that intro. And they really got a lot out of it in terms of learning about meditation and having some tools to incorporate within their day.
And I know there's got to be studies, right, about I know like the 81% that don't want to be in their job, but there's got to be studies about how this has helped. This type of
Oh,
mental wellness has helped, right?
yes, absolutely. There's lots of studies that talk about how doing meditation for 10 minutes, just 5 or 10 minutes a day, can really change your outlook, can change your perspectives, and just improve how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself, and even increasing your self-confidence.
All right. Well, I love it. Well, we still have 2 more minutes left in your show, and there's still more to talk about because, not just the workplace wellness, which of course is amazing. What other things do you do? How else are you helping people in the Pilates wellness world?
I do private sessions in Midtown Manhattan at Arrive Wellness on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8. You can book those sessions right on my website. We also have online mat classes that we offer starting Wednesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. And if you just want a quick intro for $5, you can come at 6 a.m. We'll do a 30-minute intro to get you moving, an intro to Pilates. And if you just want a consultation and you just want to talk about what you're trying to do in terms of, your program or, whether within your organization or outside or just personally, you can book a consultation call. It costs you nothing just to have the conversation to talk about what your goals and requirements might be.
Yay. Well, thank you for that. And you're in the New York area, obviously. A lot of these work wellness groups, there's people out in the I said the tri-boroughs, right? And the boroughs that may need you for anyone listening up for their company. If you have any ideas, if you need someone to help with workplace wellness, you're a go-to, and you'll be there in person, I'm sure, with bells on, designing a program as always, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever the community needs.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much again, Lisa, for being here. And one more time, let's tell them how we can contact you. And of course, tell them we sent you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Hello
ahead.
at brownskinwellness.com. Brownskinwellness.com is the website. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, 718-772-9101. I'm Lisa Deveaux.
Thank you, Lisa. Always a pleasure having you. So thorough. And then I heard we're taking a little break. So is this where I say,
Yes.
I'll see you next year?
I'll see
Yeah.
you next year. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, all the things. Happy Hanukkah.
Ditto, ditto,
What
ditto.
else? Oh,
I know.
Happy New
Same here.
Year.
I love it. Thank you so much. You're the first person I got to say that to. My big joke. All right. Thank you so much, though. Enjoy the holidays, really. And thank you for
Thank you,
being here.
Jill. You
Looking
too.
forward to the new year, new start, new you, new everything. And we're going to be more inspired, of course, after that new year when that ball drops. Every year we are, right? But
Every
the thing
year.
is, we're going to stick with it this time.
Oh,
No help
yes.
with that. All right. Thank you, Lisa. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks, Jill.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.